If someone secretly plants filming devices in an abattoir and then proceeds to forward it to the media, will the media outlet be in breach of the equitable doctrine of confidence if it plans to use that footage? For the next couple of minutes, I will be providing you with an overview of how the High Court approached this question in ABC and Lenah game meets. The equitable doctrine of breach of confidence provides a remedy where private information that is conveyed in confidence is compromised. So, how does this apply to the Lenah game meets case? Well, Lenah Game Meats is a Tasmanian company licensed to kill, process and export possums. In 1999, their premises was broken into and video cameras and audio recording equipment was installed. The trespasser, who was an unknown person, supplied their footage to Animal Liberation, who then passed it on to the ABC. It was alleged that the ABC intended to use the footage for a story for the 7:30 report. Lenah applied to the Supreme Court for an interlocutory injunction so that the ABC would be restrained from publishing the footage. Lenah argued that publication would cause both financial harm to their business and distress to the public. When the case worked its way up to the High Court, Lenah made the submission that their slaughtering operations constituted confidential information and that publication of the footage would breach such confidentiality. Lenah argued that when the ABC received the film, it either would have known or ought to have known that the footage was obtained surreptitiously and therefore should have been treated as confidential information. Thus, by broadcasting this information, the ABC would have been in breach of confidence. 3 elements need to be established to determine whether there has been a breach of the obligation of confidence. The first element is that the information must be confidential. This means that the information cannot be common knowledge in the public domain or trivial. It can be photographic, as it was in the Lenah case. The important thing to remember is that whatever its form, confidentiality is premised on it not being in the public domain or common knowledge. In Lenah, it was conceded that the footage of the abattoir practices was not in itself confidential in nature. The High Court held that the fact that the operations were required to be licensed by a public authority suggested that the information about the nature of those operations was not confidential. The second element is that the information was disclosed in circumstances of confidence. Justice Gleeson suggested that a useful test of what is private is to consider whether disclosure or observation of information would be highly offensive to a reasonable person of ordinary sensibilities. Gleeson also stated that in cases like this, due to the principle of good faith, equity imposes obligations of confidentiality even when there is no imparting of information in circumstances of trust and confidence. However, it was decided that the mere fact that the trespass and subsequent footage took place on private property does not suffice to establish secrecy. The final element is that there is actual or threatened use that will cause detriment. The evidence here was unchallenged, as it was established that broadcasting the footage would cause financial harm to the respondent. Lenah Game Meats was unsuccessful in its claim based on breach of confidence. The outcome for the media is that as long as they are not involved in a tortious or illegal act in gathering information, then there is no reason as to why they can't publish it. Nonetheless, injunctions are likely to be granted where a party has knowingly been involved in trespass and broadcasted the information unconscionably.